General Hayden, let me just ask you about cybersecurity more generally, and because you've talked about this is outside of the context of your book, but think of cybersecurity generally as sort of building a defensive perimeter, keeping the bad guys out. You recently were talking about this, and it seems like that it's changed a bit, and that you can't keep the bad guys out. You're under attack constantly. They're already inside the Alamo or whatever. How does that change the way companies should deal with cybersecurity?
So the history of cybersecurity, if you go back far enough, it's what you described. It's the firewall. Keep them out. Cyber hygiene, good passwords, turns the machine off over the weekend, all those sorts of things. Put the patches in, talk to your sysad, get the work done. That's good, and keep doing it, but it's not nearly sufficient. All right, the persistent, talented threat is getting in. And so if you really want to defend now, you have to defend on presumption of breach. All right? They're getting inside the wire, get over it, operate while under attack, survive while still penetrated. And so now the passing grade is not whether or not they get in, the very best will get in. The passing grade is how long are they in before you know it. Okay, so now rather than defense, got to do it, okay? But the secret sauce now is response, resiliency, recovery, reconstitution, the detection of attack. It is almost as if, rather than the moat, the castle wall, or the Maginot Line, it's a constant meeting engagement in which you are constantly fighting within your own network to keep your own network secure against intruders, which are inevitable.
So companies can do that themselves, what you described. In terms of cybersecurity, should the United States government be using offensive measures also against bad actors?
So that's a great question. All right, so a couple factors bearing on the problem. Number one, this is a domain in which offense doesn't translate to defense. Okay? That offensive capacity doesn't automatically make you more secure. Whereas in the maritime domain, you got a big Navy, hey, play it both ways. I can go there, I can stop them from coming here. Cyber domain, not that way. So I agree with you. We've got, I'm fond of saying, the greatest concentration of cyber power on the planet is about 30 miles over my left shoulder, up there at Fort Meade, right? But it doesn't, it's hard for us to apply that to defense, largely because of civil liberties questions, political, cultural questions. We don't want the government kind of walking the beat inside of our network, all right? And so we have those issues. The outgoing commander of Cybercom just left, Mike Rogers, and the incoming commander, Paul Nakasone, Admiral General, in recent testimony, I mean really recent, 6 weeks ago, maybe, 4, both talked about imposing consequences on cyber aggressors, right, which is not the same thing as defense. It's simply convincing people, you don't want to do this. Trust me, you don't want to do this.
The Stuxnet theory.
Well, it's that I can hold things you hold dear at risk. I don't think you should be throwing rocks at me. All right. Now that is actually a bold theory. All right. It is not government policy. Even this government, which is more aggressive than some other ones. All right. It is not. So it's out there as an idea that we might be able to conduct what they label as cyber deterrence, not defense, all right? That we can either disable machines that are coming at us, or we can hold at risk things they hold to be dear. In other words, what they're arguing for is a new legal and policy space above the normal I'm spying on you and stealing your stuff line, but below the and now I'm at war with you line.
Wasn't the same logic of mutually assured destruction?
Well, actually, you can reason by analogy, all right, with the nuclear world, with the disabling attack being the counter-force approach, and the counter-value approach being hold dear that which they value. All right, so there's a logic there, but okay, mutually assured destruction was always a theory. These guys are asking for something that would actually be taking place.
Do you think that would be a good idea to do
that? I've not yet resolved that one in my mind. There's a lot of thinking needs to be done about that.
in the private sphere, you've talked about this being now a board level responsibility. And have even talked about repopulating boards with people who understand.
Just relive the Sarbanes-Oxley drama.
Right.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that.
So most boards, being of my age, don't have an awful lot of inherent cyber security capacity on them. And so boards are now going to have to go out and hunt for that talent to be on the board. I mean, the same way that they had to respond to other regulatory requirements, they now have to have some technological expertise on the board in order to be able to do what a board ought to do with regard to the company. Yeah.
And in your conversations, are you having success with that?
Yeah, actually, American industry's got this. All right, okay, yeah. So shortly after I left government, so this is 2009, maybe late in 2009, I'm up at in New York with George Tenet and Mike McConnell, former DCI, former DNI, and we're having dinner with 20 folks that I would just call Wall Street types. All right, and we're waving our arms about the cyber threat. And by the time we kind of got around to the dessert, one of the participants finally asked the question I knew was on everyone's mind. How much is this going to cost me? We have moved from that position, from a time when American business saw cybersecurity as subtraction from the bottom line, to an appreciation that cybersecurity is integral to the top line. And then I think we really have made that turn.
What's that old ad? Pay me now or pay me later?
Yeah, and pay me more later.
General Hayden, I want to thank you on behalf of Real Clear Politics and Andy Woolworth for your time. And it's been a great discussion.
No, I've really enjoyed your questions.
There's more information about cybersecurity, including information on General Hayden's new book, on our website. Just go to realcleardefense.com and you'll get a prompt to go to our cybersecurity page. We hope you'll join us again next time. On behalf of all of us here at Real Clear Politics, I'm Carl Cannon. Thanks for watching.